Hello, friends, families, and random listeners. This is Sitcoms Anonymous, your podcast for TV, movies, and pop culture in general. And this is our show, First Thoughts, where we talk about a movie we just saw in theaters. That's how our show is. And you just heard our brand new theme song, so I hope you enjoy that. We're going to try to have that on before every episode now. I'm your host, Andrew, and with me, as always, is...
Bernadette.
How you doing, Bernadette?
I'm Peachy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
We're pretty determined to have 2015 be the year of Sitcoms Anonymous and a baby.
Yes.
And a baby. But, Bernadette, I went to the movies yesterday, and what did we see?
We saw Selma.
Selma. And Selma is directed by Anna Duvarney. It stars David Oyelowo, Carmen Eojo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Tom Wilkinson, Tim Roth. Oprah's in it, so is Common, Cuba Gooding Jr., Martin Sheen, and then, a score of other really great actors who I don't know their names yet. So, do you want me to do the plot summary?
Yes.
Okay. Selma is about Martin Luther King Jr. during it's after
1964.
Yeah, it's after the voting. I'm sorry, it's after the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
Prior to the Voting Rights Act.
And it's after Kennedy's been shot.
And it's after Kennedy's been shot, and it's about his time in Selma and the 50-mile march from Selma to Montgomery. And it takes place all in that time period. And you're mostly with Martin Luther King Jr. Every once in a while you go to someone else, but it's mostly about him. Or would you say it's about the movement in general?
I think it's about the movement, because it's captivating all these different people's perspectives.
But you're with him most of the time.
But you're with him a majority
of the time. He's your entry point, at least. Right. So, I guess I wanted to say something beforehand, because this is not a movie we would normally do on the podcast, because it's pretty serious. Mostly, we'd stick to stuff that's a little more fun. Yeah, a little more lightweight, more fun. But I love this movie. I don't know about you.
I did, yes.
And so...
and, I really didn't have... I didn't think it was going to be good going into it.
Okay.
So.
But I feel like this movie has a lot of hate coming its way because of the current political climate, and I just wanted to get all.
For me, it just looked too serious.
Well, I want to
so good,
but by no means are we a political podcast. By no means, we try not to be, because we think our show is something to be fun and silly and about something different. But I would have put as many good vibes about this movie out there, because there is a lot of ugly coming its way for no reason except for the fact that it's reflecting our time currently, especially in a day in which the term Black Lives Matters is being mocked by people, So I wanted to get as much good vibes about this movie out there. So we're going to go on to general impressions. Do you want to go, or do you want me to go?
I loved it.
I loved it too. I mean, we've already said that.
It just was I went in with the thought of, this isn't the kind of movie I normally go see. It's not going to be good. It's just going to be really slow. I'm going to fall asleep. And, there were times, I was just, clenching your arm.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
yeah.
And, I think it was a real eye-opener for me. Not necessarily an eye-opener, because I'd seen that kind of stuff done before, but I feel like that they I don't know,
this is shot in such a way that it's powerful.
Brought it about, yeah. It's
shot, Bradford Young, who's a cinematographer, he did an incredible job. Him and David, I'm sorry, I keep wanting to call him David Duvarna. Anna Duvarna did an incredible job setting it. Every shot is powerful, especially the scene on the bridge, which we won't spoil, but, if you've read a history book, you know what happens on the bridge in Selma. It's all powerful, and this is just a powerful film. I cried during this movie several times. I don't know about you. There was a woman next to us who was just sobbing the entire time, and then, when it was sad, and I'm using her as this, reference point, and I'm going to speak for myself, too. When it was sad, I was sad, and when it was hopeful, I was hopeful, and when there was just a tiny bit of joy, you felt it, It's a very powerful film that sits with you. And,
I would agree.
And then I would also say it's a very spiritual film. like I said, we're not a political podcast. We're not a religious podcast, but Bernadette and I make no qualms about saying that we're followers of Jesus. But, this film, I don't know how to say it. There's a spiritual feeling to it.
There's a spiritual feeling, but it's not religious.
It's not religious by any means. You don't need to be a Christian or a churchgoer to feel that spirituality, or you don't need to be anything really. It's a palpable feeling in the film, and and I get those sorts of feelings in other movies like Green Mile or Oh Brother Where Art Thou or A Prairie Home Companion. I mean it's a very palpable feeling. So, acting wise, what did you think?
The guy who played Martin Luther King Jr.
David Oyelowo.
Yes, I felt like he embodied him. I could look. I wasn't around during the times of Martin Luther King Jr. I've only seen him in pictures and in videos.
Right.
And I mean, I just feel like you could look at him and take a quick glance and be like, but then, once you sit there and take that deep look, you're like, no, he didn't come back.
Oh, God.
He didn't come back for this movie. But he did such a good job of just, portraying.
I'm going to compare this movie a lot to Lincoln, where David Oyelowo is a lot like Daniel Day-Lewis, where he captured a man that had flaws, and those flaws were presented, but it didn't diminish any of his greatness, Mm-hmm. And one thing I liked that this movie did was they didn't use any of his speeches.
Yeah.
Because this film takes place after the I Have a Dream speech.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't allowed to use the speeches either, because Steven Spielberg owns the rights to them for some reason.
That's weird.
Well, the King family, owns the rights. They've leased the rights to him to make a movie, but he hasn't made it yet. So they're sitting on it for some reason. But that works because David Oyelowo isn't playing the great orator. He's playing the civil rights movement leader. He's playing a brilliant tactician. He's playing, he's something much different than what we normally see of Martin Luther King Jr., Mm-hmm. And that works to the film's advantage, It really does. It makes it a much smaller picture.
Right.
Speaking of smaller picture, this film does what I think the best biofilms do, and it focuses exclusively on one part of their life. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You know how some movies you see, like Ray. You've never seen Ray. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of another one that does it then. Oh, goodness. Well, Ray, I'll use Ray as an example, even though you haven't seen it. You see all of Ray Charles's life. Mm-hmm. In this one, you don't, flash back to his past, and I would say, thankfully, you don't flash forward to see him die. Mm-hmm. I thought that's how the movie was going to end. Did you?
I did. What I liked is it didn't just show, here's this great man, he's doing good, he's, leading this movement, but here's this great man who we've all thought, oh, he is the best. He has flaws just like any other person. And that's what I liked.
I, for a while, didn't think they were going to bring up his infidelities. And though they don't directly address it, they at least make mention of it. I mean, it's,
Right.
Which obviously, I mean, he was a very human man, and that doesn't diminish what he did, obviously, Mm-hmm. Supporting cast, what did you think?
Still trying to figure out why V was there, who she
V
was.
from Orange is the New Black. She was a woman in the civil rights movement.
Right, but they just always focused on her, but she never really talked.
Okay. Obviously, I imagine a lot of these people are at least either very real people who actually existed or composites of people who existed. Mm-hmm. Her and Oprah could have been the same character.
Yes, and at one point I thought they were. I'm like, is that No.
They do look really similar.
But how they've got them
dressed too, and then makeup wise, yeah.
They look a lot alike.
So her and Oprah could have been just the same character.
Mm-hmm. And the older man, I liked him. The elderly man.
I think he just lived in Selma, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
And he's in probably one of the most powerful scenes in the movie.
Of course, I have a thing for elderly people.
You love old people. It's very sweet.
I know.
But, I wanted to go back to David Oyelowo. What I love about him is you do see the tactician, you do see the leader, and then you also see him as a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when he had to comfort someone. And then you also see him as, just very much a man. He plays him in so many different facets. It's very impressive. I would say of the supporting cast, Tom Wilkinson, who plays LBJ, and Tim Roth, who plays George Wallace, are a little over the top. Which you can get, they're...
But we don't know what it was like back then.
I don't know George Wallace or LBJ.
We didn't live in the South.
I did not live in the South at all. You did, but...
But I didn't live in the South during that time period.
No.
I mean, come on. I went to a historically black college.
You did. You did.
Undergrad.
But he, they had that big... at least Tim Roth had that big Southern accent where it's just a little over the top.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Do you have any complaints?
My complaint is, I felt like there were times that the scenes would, just stay, there was nothing going on, so I guess they were drawn out. And I'm
there are a lot of long, still shots in this movie.
They're just sitting there. Let's move. And I realized they were trying to capture the emotion of it, of, whatever was going on at that time, but I can get very ADD. So I'm just come on, let's go.
Forget your emotions. I need to sit still. I can't sit still.
Yeah. So that's my only one. What about you?
Malcolm X shows up at one point, and he is immediately dropped. I'm wondering if there's more to that in the deleted scenes, because
maybe
at one point Malcolm X shows up, gives us, and I kind of get what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be saying, Martin, and he's not talking to Martin, obviously, at the time. I'm sorry, he's talking to Coretta Scott King. Coretta, if I'm here as a warning to these people, you want to deal with Dr. King, you don't want to deal with me. But that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and then all that goes is they're he got shot.
He got shot! And there's this really big time jump with no, title card or anything. It's all... Mm-hmm. It literally happens in one scene. Martin Luther King goes to jail in Selma.
Ooh, I wish they would have gave us a time frame there.
That would have been
nice. I'm sure
nice.
Maybe if you read about it historically, you would find that time frame. But
it's a quick jump because then he's out of prison. Because Martin Luther King goes to jail. Malcolm X shows up.
But it was enough time for Coretta Scott King to get there from Atlanta.
Right.
Which they said was a couple hours.
Right. And
on that new road.
Yeah. They brought up the new road quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
And then she visits him, tells him about Malcolm X. And then, the next day, it seems he's out of prison. Mm-hmm. And then he's at this church service. And he's talking about how Malcolm X was gunned down. And it's well, there's not a very distinct timeline. And I just wish that was fleshed out a bit better. But... that is a minor complaint. Mm-hmm. Also, soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, it's actually playing in the other room.
It is playing in the other room. It's a very powerful soundtrack that not only uses old hymns, but modern music as well, mm-hmm. which is very weird in a biopic, but it works very much to the film's advantage. Mm-hmm. This is going to get nominated for several Oscars.
Oh, I hope.
Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor.
Best Actor, yeah.
Whether they should win, because there's a lot that has come out, but they certainly deserve that nomination.
Uh-huh.
So, do you want to go on to ratings?
I would give it, what do we...
Oh, I have brand new ratings, actually, because I think the old rating does not work as well.
Okay.
So, out of 5, between 1 and 5.
5 being the best?
5 being the best.
I would give it a 5.
5 out of 5? Mm-hmm. I would say a 4.5 out of 5. Because I do think that it could use a steadier hand when it comes to its timeline. Mm-hmm. At least right there in the right at the end of the very first act, it could use that a little better. But mm-hmm. It's not a bad movie by any means. It's a powerful movie. It's an incredible movie. and I loved it.
And on the old system, go see it.
Go see it. Go see it in the theater. Go rent it. Go buy it. Yeah, you'll love it.
Buy the soundtrack.
Get as much good word about this movie out as you can. It's just incredible. And
I
it's
feel
powerful.
like our nation needed this, and our country even.
Well,
you know, like our world needed this based on everything that's been going on. But, like, our nation specifically. Because of just all the craziness we've had.
The majority of this film deals with Black lives being, with a dominant white police force using over-the-top actions against Black lives. Obviously, what's currently happening in America is very complicated, and we're not going to really get into that, but it does show us that lives do matter, and we need to reevaluate how we look at things, you know. That's the end of my soapbox. Bernadette, do you want to do recommendations? For things that we...
Scandal. Which I'm probably so old. Like... I'm just now on the 3rd season, so...
Okay, Bernadette has been watching a lot of Scandal.
That's my recommendation.
Oh, also created by a woman of color.
Yeah.
She's, gosh, it's a great show.
What's your recommendation?
I make fun of Bernadette for liking Scandal so much, but when I watch it, I get into it, so...
What's your recommendation?
East of Eden with James Dean.
Okay.
Great movie, powerful movie. Once again, just a classic I think everyone should watch. Bernadette, do you want to recommend a movie now?
Oh, a movie?
Yeah, do you want to recommend a movie? That's what we do at recommendations.
I know, but I thought that was a good recommendation.
It's a good recommendation.
I haven't got to see it yet, but I'm going to recommend Paddington. Because it just looks so cute.
It does look cute. And it's getting good reviews, so I'm excited to see it.
That's my recommendation.
We'll do a first thoughts on Paddington. And
next weekend.
Next weekend we'll do a first thoughts on Paddington.
And American Sniper.
And we'll get to Paddington. As far as schedule goes, Bernadette and I are pretty determined to get at least a commentary out bi-monthly. I'm sorry, I don't know how that is. Twice a month?
Twice a month.
So 2nd week of the month and the 4th week of the month usually. And we were going to do Scandal, but we lost our 2nd season of Scandal. So
we didn't lose it.
It's somewhere that
we don't have access.
It's a state away. So
I gave it to my mom.
So we'll come up with something good, and we'll be back next week with first thoughts on Paddington and then a new commentary.
Yep.
Is that all right with you?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is First Thoughts and Sitcoms Anonymous. I'm Andrew.
I'm Bernadette.
Go to the movies. Hey guys, if you like listening to us, go ahead and like and subscribe our YouTube page. If you want to visit us on Facebook, we're at Sitcoms Anonymous, and we're also at sitcomsanonymous.tumblr.com. Come and check us out. Thanks.